Picture this. It's 1965. American boys are dying in Vietnamese jungles. President Johnson is begging Britain, America's closest ally, to send troops. Just a token force. Even a bagpipe band would do, he says. Britain's answer? No. Not one soldier, not one ship, nothing. But here's what they don't teach you. This wasn't just Britain being difficult. This was Churchill's ghost coming back to haunt America, and the reason why will blow your mind. December 1964. The phone rings at 10 Downing Street. It's Lyndon Johnson, and he's not asking, he's pleading. Harold, I need you. Prime Minister Harold Wilson knows what's coming. Johnson wants British troops in Vietnam, and LBJ doesn't take no for an answer. This is a man who once held a meeting while sitting on the toilet. Intimidation is his love language. But here's the thing, Wilson's already made his decision. Britain will not go to Vietnam. And Johnson, he's about to lose his mind. Over the next 3 years, Johnson will call Wilson 47 times about Vietnam. 47. He'll send diplomats, he'll threaten, he'll beg, he'll offer deals. Nothing works. And here's what makes this insane. Britain and America were supposed to be inseparable. They'd fought together in World War II. They stood together in Korea. The special relationship was sacred. So what changed? The answer involves a tiny island you've never heard of, a prime minister's secret fear, and a lesson Britain learned the hard way just 10 years earlier. 1956, Suez Canal, Egypt. Britain and France hatch a plan to take back the Suez Canal from Egyptian control. It's their last gasp as colonial powers, their chance to prove they still matter. It's a disaster. President Eisenhower, America doesn't just oppose them, he destroys them, economically, politically, diplomatically. Britain's economy is collapsing, and America refuses to help unless they withdraw. The humiliation is total. Prime Minister Anthony Eden resigns in disgrace. Britain learns a brutal lesson. The empire is over, and America calls the shots now. But here's the twist. Britain learned another lesson that day, one that would save them from Vietnam. Never, ever fight a war you don't believe in just to please America. Fast forward to 1964. Harold Wilson becomes prime minister. He's a clever, calculating man, and he's watched what happened at Suez. He knows America can be a dangerous friend. Then he looks at Vietnam and sees something that terrifies him. He sees a trap. Here's what Wilson understood that Johnson didn't. Vietnam wasn't World War II. It wasn't Korea. This was something else entirely. Let me break down Wilson's 3 reasons for staying out, and they're brilliant. Reason number 1, the money doesn't exist. Britain is broke, completely tapped out. They're still recovering from World War II. The pound is weak. They're cutting military spending everywhere. Wilson runs the numbers. Sending even a small force to Vietnam would cost £300 million. That's nearly $5 billion in today's money. Britain doesn't have it. But here's what he can't say publicly, because that would humiliate Britain on the world stage. So he needs another excuse. Reason number 2, the Malaysian emergency. Perfect timing. Indonesia is causing trouble in Malaysia, a British territory. Britain already has troops deployed there. Wilson tells Johnson, "We're already supporting your cause against communism, just in a different place." It's genius. He's technically supporting the anti-communist cause, just not in Vietnam. But this isn't even his best reason. Reason number 3, he thinks America will lose. This is the one that changes everything. Wilson's advisors tell him the truth. There's no military solution in Vietnam. The Viet Cong have popular support. The South Vietnamese government is corrupt and unstable. This is going to be a bloodbath. Wilson sees the future. America will pour in hundreds of thousands of troops, spend billions, lose thousands of soldiers, and still lose the war. And he's right. But he can never say this to Johnson, because if he does, the special relationship is dead. So, Wilson plays the most careful political game of his life. Every time Johnson calls, Wilson sympathizes. He agrees Vietnam is important. He offers moral support, intelligence sharing, diplomatic backing at the UN, just not troops. Johnson isn't stupid. He knows what Wilson is doing, and it drives him insane. At one point, Johnson tells his advisors, if Harold Wilson won't send troops, then our other allies won't either, and if they don't, the American people will start asking why their sons have to die alone. He's right to worry. Australia sends troops, New Zealand sends troops, South Korea sends troops, even Thailand and the Philippines send troops, but not Britain, the one ally that matters most. Here's where it gets personal. Johnson starts playing hardball. He threatens Britain's economy. He hints that America might not defend the pound in currency markets. He suggests that maybe American troops in Germany aren't so necessary after all. It's diplomatic blackmail. Wilson doesn't blink. There's a secret meeting in 1965. The details leak years later. Johnson's people offer Wilson a deal. Send just 5,000 troops, a symbolic gesture, and America will support Britain's economic recovery. Wilson considers it. His cabinet is split. The pressure is enormous. But then he remembers Suez. He remembers what happens when you fight America's war on America's terms. He says no. Johnson never forgives him. 1968, the Tet Offensive. North Vietnam launches massive attacks across South Vietnam. American casualties skyrocket. Walter Cronkite, the most trusted man in America, goes on TV and says the war is unwinnable. Johnson doesn't run for re-election. 1973, America withdraws from Vietnam. 1975, Saigon falls. Communist victory, total. 58,000 Americans dead. Over 300,000 wounded, $500 billion spent. And Harold Wilson? He's out of office by then, but history remembers his decision. Britain lost 0 soldiers in Vietnam. But here's what's haunting about this story. Wilson was right to stay out. Morally, strategically, economically, it was the correct decision. But Britain paid a price anyway. The special relationship was damaged. America trusted Britain less. When Britain faced economic crises in the 1970s, American support was lukewarm. Wilson had to choose British lives or American friendship. He chose British lives. Was he right? So, why did Britain refuse to join the Vietnam War? On the surface, money, other commitments, practical concerns. But the real reason, Britain had learned from Suez that following America into a bad war doesn't preserve your independence, it destroys it. Wilson understood something profound. A true ally doesn't follow you off the cliff. A true ally tells you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. Vietnam vindicated him. Britain avoided one of the worst military disasters of the 20th century. But here's the question nobody asks. If Britain had joined, would it have changed anything? Would American soldiers have fought harder knowing they weren't alone? Would public opinion have held out longer? Or would Britain have just drowned alongside America? We'll never know. What we do know is this. Sometimes the bravest thing an ally can do is say no. And that decision, that single word, saved Britain from its own Vietnam. The question is, will they remember this lesson the next time America comes calling? If this changed how you see the special relationship, hit that like button. Subscribe because we're diving into more hidden Cold War stories that'll blow your mind. Next video, why Australia didn't refuse and the secret deal that brought them into Vietnam. You won't believe what they got in return. See you there.